Yep, starting with Umineko, shorter to Raya. One stats says a little bit of self-control. I've got Elden Ring for a couple friends, so I'm hoping maybe they'll have it installed later and we can play. They might not have it till tomorrow, we'll see. It's on sale right now for like a decent chunk off. So it made for a good Christmas gift. Okay. So we're getting into more of the meat of episode 6 today, I think. Both Jessica and George timidly open their eyes. Where in the world is this? Really? What are you doing? It was a strange room they had never seen before. It looked like a Western-style smoking room. Its furnishings were stylish and expensive. It felt like the room of some dignified person. There was a set of black tea on the table, as well as a chessboard, which seemed to be halfway through a game. However, there was something strangely out of place. The black and white checkerboard pattern made it feel like chess, but it looked like... Can you not fall? What are you doing? It looked like a very similar yet total... Stop knocking stuff off of there. Come on. Crap. Totally different game that no one knew of. And similar to how it both looked like chess and not like chess, the furnishings of this room, no the room itself, though it seemed like a Western smoking room, it also felt like something completely different. just where is this place? Jessica-chan and Kennen-kun. And Shannon? Where's Shannon? I'm right here, George-sama. And I'm here. Hey lady, George-sama. We apologize for bringing you to a place like this. What on earth is going on? Just when Shannon took out something that looked like a butterfly wing and it started shining, the same thing happened to me. Kennen-kun took out this golden butterfly brooch thing, it started to sparkle, and... My lady, George-san, first off, allow us to apologize, and please stay calm. Something strange is about to happen. That strange thing will probably test us. Test us? Do you mean that trial you were just talking about? That we had to overcome if we wanted to be together? Is that it? Do we have to be in Mr. Beast's Beast Games? A trial? I haven't explained it to you yet, my lady. My apologies. But please, if your words just a second ago were the truth, please lend me your strength. I will give it everything I've got, so please. I don't understand a thing that's been happening. Do you know something, George Nissan? A bit. I'm just as surprised as you by what's happening now. However, if they're saying that this is an unavoidable trial and that we're essential for it, I intend to take on whatever may come. A trial? Kennen-kun, the brooch. Yeah. The two of them brought the halves of the broken golden butterfly brooch together, closer to each other. As they grew closer, the strength of the bright yellow radiance increased. Where are you going? Okay, I can't actually see you with you there, honey. Come on. Avery, come on. Avery, please. Work with me here, honey. Come on. Come on. Okay, come on. Come on, sweetie. Uppies. Uppies. Okay. I did the best I could. Alright. The focus is on the Seacats. Jessica-chan, I want you to prepare your heart as well. I'm already prepared. But what do you mean? I don't have a clue. What the hell's going on? It's a trial. A test for a pair of those who love each other. Huh? George spoke those awkward-seeming words quickly and easily. It was such an embarrassing line that Jessica couldn't help turning red, but the expression on George's face, which was so serious that it was almost grim, forced her to tense up as well. Moisturize. Shannon and Cannon were just as serious. With a glow in their eyes, as though they were taking part in a sacred duel, the pair of them brought the two gold butterfly wings together. Then the wings they held became a single brooch and regained their magical power. An even more intense light filled the room, and the scene was burnt into the retinas of all present, as the brooch shattered and two shining things flew out of it. Don't forget, we have some characters we haven't met yet. We technically saw them for a short bit at the start. People live for the sake of love. Yes, this world is love itself. Oh, how great is the power of love. Love is everything there is. Suddenly, the voices of two people they had never heard before rang out. What was it? Who were they? These two nuisances. George and Jessica nervously opened their eyes. When they did, they saw that two demons had appeared there, almost as though the two halves of the brooch had become them. Hey, that's weird, Furfur. What are we doing here in a place like this? It really is strange, Zepar. There's no one but humans and furniture here. Where's the witch? Where's the witch capable of summoning us? Yes, we remember the name of the witch of the contract really well, don't we? Let's try calling it out, Furfur. Yes, you're right, Zepar. We know the name of the witch of the contract, the Golden Witch. And let's try calling her. Beatrice. Okay, maybe they're not that bad. Considering their exaggerated, theatrical manner and their slightly comical style of talking, it'd probably be hard to comprehend their great power at this point. Both. I told you, it's Beast Games. It's Mr. Beast TV show. When the two demons called Beatrice's name, a cyclone of gold butterflies picked up throughout the room. Then it took the form of two golden witches. Oh, there are two Beatrices. Well, there are two of us as well. Why shouldn't there be two Beatrices every now and then? This is my double and my little sister. We two are the same and as a single person. But pleased to meet you. It has been a long time, Beatrice-sama. And Beatrice-sama. Am I dreaming? I feel the same. Still, it's too early to get dumbfounded. Unlike Jessica, George had maintained his composure even during this bizarre scene. After all, Shannon had already told him what would happen next. Demons of the contract, it has been too long. Zepar, and you too, Furfur. Oh, long time no see. You seem to be in high spirits as always. But what a cute little sister you have. I'll bet those tear-juicy eyes taste like white peaches. Well, I wonder. Zepar and Furfur latched onto Beatrice from either side, wearing strange smiles. Each movement they made was exaggerated yet polished, as though they were acting in a play. Leave it at that for now, demons of the contract. To think that tonight will be the last time we see that mischievous spirit. It will be dearly missed. The last time? The brooch, our vessel, has already been destroyed. In other words, our role is finished after this. Ah yes, it has been fun, Beatrice. However, it was decided when the contract was made. It was decided that we must lend our power one more time before our final farewell. So this is truly the final miracle. Once is enough for the miracle of love. After all, eternal love will never be needed a second time. There you have it. Lovers. Those gathered here have been cursed. There's applause. It is a TV show. Those gathered here have been cursed to have unfulfilled love unless a miracle occurs. Your last chance is the power of the Golden Butterfly Brooch, which can grant such a miracle, and like it or not, this chance is limited to this evening. This miracle can be given only to a single pair. I won't lose. Yeah, let's both give it our all. Shannon and Ken exchanged serious gazes. Both had already readied themselves to fight for the sake of their love. As always with Umineko though, it's showing something really stupid and over the top and comical, but it's to kind of imply something behind it. So it's not for nothing. Unlike when Erica bullied Maria, that was for nothing. The game even said as much. I don't really get it, but I don't want to borrow the power of some strange demon. Jessica was finally starting to figure this place out. Those demons were probably planning to pit her and Cannon against George and Shannon. Let me be clear, this is none of your business. Cannon and I can handle our relationship by ourselves. I shouldn't have to put myself in the debt of some bizarre demons. My lady, please listen. If we don't overcome this trial, we cannot be together. Jessica, accept it. This is the only trial that could possibly be imposed on upstart furniture wishing to be joined with a human. More of this stuff about furniture and humans. Don't butt in. This has nothing to do with us. You still haven't told my lady? I didn't know how I should explain it. Cannon-kun, Shannon, and you, George Nissan. Why are you listening to these creeps? No one can stand in the way of a person's love. Why do we have to please these demons? It's none of their business. I like that Jessica's actually kind of standing up for herself here. Yes, I have read all of Umineko before. But I figured a lot of people have not seen the second half of it, because the anime died. So, yeah. I'm reading Umineko from the start, again, to kind of show it off to the audience that has yet to see it. But it's been years since I've read through the second half, so I'm really enjoying my revisit a lot, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I like seeing the fight scenes animated. I like that a lot. But there are some places for improvement, for sure. I think if we ever get more of the anime, they'll probably just go back and remake the first half at the same time, kind of like they did with Hunter x Hunter, you know? we'll have like a new Umineko anime that goes all the way from start to finish this time. Whether that'll happen, I don't know, but I can really hope. Recently, I learned like they're still doing the stage plays over in Japan. I kind of want to go see one of them. The episode 5 stage plays in February. I might be able to make it to the episode 6 one. That might be cool. Avery, no, really, you can't be in front of the camera. Come on. Well, it seems we have quite a troublesome blockhead among us. We could begin the game like this, but that would hardly be fair. Couldn't you explain it for her? I don't understand it that well myself. Is there some kind of problem with the love between Jessica-san and Kanan-san? Oh my, it seems you and the others understand nothing at all. With our blessing, the pair can cultivate their love at their leisure. No need to worry about suspicious demons. However, without our blessing, your love will vanish, disappear, wither, and decay. How the hell are you so sure? Because that is fate. You are free to choose not to accept it, free to choose not to resist it. Oh, and what happens if you choose not to resist it? That love will end, but perhaps an abstract explanation isn't so convincing. Well now, how could one explain the dead-end fate you're in? Ushidami and Jessica, a future shared between the two of you would be far more grim than you realize. If you don't gain the miracle magic, a disaster will most certainly befall you. Then it will cover you, fester within, and split the two of you apart. Even I will not be so boorish as to describe the details of that process. However, if you don't believe Jessica, I will tell you how it ends. Ken will stop being a servant and will leave the island. For all eternity. Okay, come on. Uber. You will probably leave the island yourself in search of the one you love, but such a venture will doubtless be in vain. Yes, and then you will mourn and hate. Hate who? You. Me? No, the you of this moment. With a dramatic gesture, the two of them pointed at Jessica. Bazinga. Let me see, I should still have her loaded up somewhere here. Yes, this should be her. She's here. Evening, is it? Almost morning, it's 5 AM. We're getting up there. They were saying that. Oh, I figured as much. Okay. Where there's one, there's the other. Let me see. I don't know how to arrange them today. I'm kind of running out of like clever ideas. So we're just gonna do something boring today. He gets to be over here, she can be over there. Arrange them like Zephyr and Furfur. Yeah, actually. Honestly, you should be the one streaming this. Oh my god. Okay. That works surprisingly well. They were saying that if she left, the person left with regrets would be Jessica herself. What the hell are you saying? When you've lost the one you love, you'll realize. You'll realize how much you hate the person you were when you ran away from the trial to complete that love. Yes, we're messengers from the you of the future. Please, at this very moment, take your love seriously and fight. And if you don't listen to the message of the you from the future, the foolish snake eating its own tail will keep on gulping. The endless cycle of suffering will swallow you up, and you will simply vanish. What the hell are you talking about? Jessica's confusion showed on her face as anger. However, a memory of something she'd heard a long time ago welled up in the back of her mind. I mean, they're not saying it in red. But the whole concept behind this, yes, is true. Only one relationship will work out. The brooch can only grant love to one couple. Unlike Nason, I don't plan on working here for many years. After just a few years, or possibly, if Nason ever decides to stop working here, I think I'll stop working too. Kanan-kun. If you give up on the miracle magic and hand it over to Shannon and George, they'll be joined and leave the island. Following that, Kennen will leave the island as well. That is fate and unavoidable. Then what if they can obtain the miracle magic? Of course, Kennen will remain on the island by Jessica's side for all time. He'll probably start learning music with Jessica as she desires. How the relationship will progress afterwards is a matter for the two lovers. They can deepen their relationship slowly, all by themselves, as Jessica wanted. However, if that happens, George-san and I will not be joined. Fate demands that we fight, putting our happiness and futures on the line. Are you kidding me? What the hell? So if we are joined, the other pair will split apart? What kind of demon's game is this? It is literally what you're describing as. It is a demon's game of some kind. Don't be mistaken. You will not be taking something from each other. Without the power of the golden butterfly fruit, neither will be fated to bear fruit. And who the hell decided that? It is due to your sin of falling in love with the furniture, which is not allowed to love. Didn't Canon clearly reject you, saying that furniture was not qualified to love? Knowing that, you chose Canon as the one you loved. I won't let you get away with saying you didn't know. Though she couldn't accept any of it, Jessica was unable to argue back. Then George spoke up with that soft tone that he always used to smooth things over. However, his expression was still ruthlessly serious. Jessica-chan, can't you think of it this way? Think of it what way? I love Shannon. I'm prepared to overcome any and all trials and obstacles that stand in the way of us being together. What about you? Well, I'm not so weak that I lose heart that easily. Yes, that's it exactly. At this moment, we are being tested. Tested to see who can display the strength of our feelings more strongly. Are you saying that you actually support this crazy plan of theirs? It doesn't matter whether I support it or not. When I gave Shannon that engagement ring, I swore to fight all trials and barriers that stand in my way. No matter how unreasonable or incomprehensible these trials might be, I cannot choose to avoid them. George spoke clearly, then looked at Jessica with a cold gaze. By now, Jessica almost understood. If she kept on grumbling and avoiding this demon's trial, the game between the two groups would automatically end with her defeat by default. In other words, George and Jessica would win. George and Shannon would win. Then they would gain the miracle of magic, their love would be completed, and Jessica and Canon would split apart, with Canon eventually leaving the island and never seeing her again. You guys aren't even really technically dating yet. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I feel like there's like a clear set of winners here personally. Nothing would make me happier than to see you step out of this trial. That way, I wouldn't have to fight you, and that would show the limits of your feelings for Canon-kun. It seems as though George spoke ruthlessly, but he was actually being exceptionally fair. If Jessica lost by default, she would never be able to clear away her lingering regrets. That would leave a bad aftertaste for George as well. We must fight openly for that single miracle. Even if I lose at the end, I'll be able to accept it if we both gave it our all. And because of that, I'll be able to cheer on the victors from the bottom of my heart. George's determination is quite impressive. After hearing that, are you still going to run away? The two demons giggled and challenged her. Well, I'm being picky about Japanese here, but challenge and provoke can be the same thing. The word used here is most likely chohatsu. I feel like provoke is better in this kind of instance. Of course, George didn't laugh, but he still challenged her with cold eyes. And Shannon? Please forgive me, my lady. I mean, it's almost definitely chohatsu. 一人の悪魔は口々と笑って挑発する。Yep. もちろん、ジョージは笑わないが、冷酷な目でやはり彼も挑発していた。It is indeed chohatsu. See, like, Takashi's challenge is, Takashi no chosenjo. Chosenjo meaning like, are there other words for that? There's idomu, which is to, like, actually, like, kind of like brave or face, or, like, attempt something, I believe. I'm sure there's some other ones. Please forgive me, my lady. But yeah, Chosenjo is like letter of challenge. So that's kind of why that's used for Takashi's challenge. Makes sense there. But I feel like for a verb, provoke makes a bit more sense here. I don't know. There are similar words in English too. You can use them in a similar way. This is preference. I have to sometimes talk about things that aren't just reading though. Interesting. Oh, sorry, yeah. Takashi's challenge, why did I even bring that up? That's Chosen. That's Chosen. Chohatsu, however, is what was used here, and it is more of a provoke kind of thing. Chosen and Chosenjo are different. The caffeine has yet to sink in. Please forgive me, my lady. I'm determined not to flinch in my resolve. Hiccups. Even if I know that sticking to my feelings means ending your loving relationship. My lady. Shannon had never spoken to Jessica with such serious and solemn words. Jessica realized what a strong will had dwelt within her usually weak and clumsy friend, and was surprised. Shannon couldn't. Oh. Oh. She's sneezing. Yeah. I want to start a new life with you, my lady. Even if that life means crushing Nason's happiness, I will not falter. Cannon was also doing all he could to restrain himself. Yes, all of them were being serious and frank, and abandoning any naivety they might have possessed. All of this about golden butterfly brooches and miracles of magic, and the trial that demons were giving them, none of it mattered. Only one thing was being tested, whether or not they possessed the strong will to make their love come true. I mean, Jessica could convince Cannon to just not leave the island, right? That kind of got glossed over real quick, but okay. We don't really know why it's like this, we're just told it's like this. Not in red, surprisingly. Jessica clenched her fists and hung her head, shaking while biting her lower lip. She was silent, but she would probably gain an unswerving. I mean, I guess I get what you mean, but is that a word? Does anyone ever say unswerving? I think of like unwavering. But it's clear that it's what they wanted to type. You can see how much hair is on my desk right now after she rolled around on it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I feel like I get what they're saying, but unwavering is just way more standard use. She just needed a little time first. The two demons who taunted people with dramatic gestures did not violate the silence that Jessica needed to resolve herself. Love brings about conflict, and this conflict gives rise to determination. Monster Hunter rise to determination. Monster Hunter rise from the ashes. Yeah, I guess they just wanted to spice things up, that's fair. I just did a double take when I saw it because I'm not sure it's a word I've ever had to read out loud before. I was thinking earlier today, maybe I should read more, that'd probably be good. I need to read more, honestly. I gotta find it. Well, maybe books, maybe some BNs. I'll take BN recommendations. I kind of want to play that, like, it's like a Danganronpa fan game I'm interested in. Danganronpa Another, I think it's called. I might play that. I don't know. As the demons of love, they could understand more fully than others how noble that determination was. Jessica-san. But of course, HSA comes before that, though. Furthermore, this magical miracle is something that can be received by you as well. Yeah, I think it's like a fully fledged game. I want to say it's like out and complete, isn't it? I don't know. By me too? What do you mean? She had thought this about two pairs of lovers. She had thought this had been about two pairs of lovers. Beato was surprised to suddenly hear that this had something to do with her as well. With the miracle of the golden butterfly brooch, even your wish. You wish that your affection for Battler will be acknowledged, can be granted easily. And without such a miracle, you too can never be bound to him. Just because they're present, apparently they get roped into the game. Sorry, guys. It means you're no outsider to this either. Took it across the marshes of love. That is your wish, is it not? We will not make light of your wish. Even your relationship with Battler will eventually fester and rot. No matter how much of a positive outlook you take, you know that this fate will eventually come to pass, barring some kind of miracle. Well, Beato hung her head sadly. She hadn't wanted to lose heart from that cookie incident. However, it would have been a massive lie to say that it hadn't hurt her. The more she tried to get close to Battler, the more she hurt him. However, she had been born in order to get close to Battler. She was like a hedgehog freezing in the cold and bunching together for warmth. She'd approached him because of love and had been hurt for it. If you understand that much, entrusting your fate to a miracle may prove to be of some interest. As they say, an unbought lottery ticket earns you nothing. Zephyr, Furfur, let my little sister join in too. Oh, of course. Welcome, second Beatrice. We were planning on including you from the very beginning. After all, we are Zephyr and Furfur, the demons of love. May I join in as well? If you want to, I don't see a problem. I won't prevent anyone from entering. We'll win against all hindrances and make everyone celebrate our union. Of course, it's the same the other way around. If you succeed in love by defeating us at our best, then both Shannon and I promise to sincerely support the pair that wins. Right, Shannon? Yes, we will not lose. And even if we did, we would cheer you on from the bottom of our hearts. I feel the same. I will not lose. Well, there's no way out of this fight. Let's show them what we've got. No matter what. Ken and I don't plan on losing. You feel the same, do you not? Yes. If there's even a small chance that that Balor-san will acknowledge me, I'm willing to put myself on the line. Well said. Good going, little sister. Zephyr, Furfur, the actors have gathered. Then let's begin, Furfur. Yes, let us begin, Zephyr. Let's begin this trial of lovers, the fight over a single miracle of magic. Balor's fanfiction is getting kinda weird now. We already know that Balor's gonna marry Erica anyway. We saw it at the start. So let's see, they're at it now. Zephyr, one of the 72 great demons, controls love and tests others through trials. Zephyr bestows an ultimate defensive barrier of immortality upon the maker of the contract, giving them enough courage to unflinchingly face any wounds love might cause. A haunter of love who likes and preys upon tame boys. He is of a different gender than Furfur. Furfur, one of the 72 great demons, controls love and tests others through trials. Furfur bestows endless, inexhaustible offensive power upon the maker of the contract, giving them enough courage to fearlessly overcome any barriers to love. A trainer of love who teaches tame boys the taste of flesh. He is of a different gender than Zephyr. Interpret all of that in whatever way you would like to. They're here to stay now. Erica returned to the room that had been given to her on the second floor of the guest house. The next room over was empty. It was very quiet there. Even pressing her against the wall wouldn't help her listen in on the voices in the cosmic. She would never do that. Oh, no. Even with hearing power boosted by the detective's authority, it would probably be impossible to make out anything. This room was the farthest down the hall, a long way away from the cousin room. And last time, my room was right next to theirs. I see, so he's placed my room farther away this time. He put it further just so she couldn't do it. Such a modification to the initial arrangement is well covered by the authority given to the game master. It would seem to be quite a reasonable first move. Well, it's better for me that way too. Like, I'd want to hear those Brett's squeaky voices as they play cards. Couldn't you have just, like, I don't know, said, oh, sorry, like, all the guest rooms, I don't know, like, they're flooded or they're, like, full of rats or something. Sorry, Erica. You're in the boiler room. You're living in the basement, as far away from everyone as possible. And, oh, what's this? The lock on the door malfunctioned and you can't come out? Oh, so sorry. We'll have to have the locksmith come after the typhoon. Sorry. This whole time, Erica had been facing the desk and working on something. She was preparing some of those packing tape seals from before. And this is why you put her in the boiler room. She asked Masoa for the stickiest tape in the place. She drew a complicated signature that could not be counterfeited across it with a permanent marker, then began making notches across it. This way, if she ever wanted to prove that some opening had remained closed, she could stick this tape over it, creating a powerful seal equal in strength to the red truth. These menacing seals had cornered Nazis so thoroughly in the previous game. Great. Is something wrong? He got me. That Balor doesn't let anything get by him, does he? Erica grimaced and showed the piece of packing tape she had torn off to Delanor. At a glance, Delanor couldn't tell what had annoyed Erica. However, as soon as she held it, she realized the difference right away. This won't be any good. Yep, it's barely sticky at all. This won't reach even close to the red truth. Even packing tape can be of low quality, and it sometimes gets weaker with age. The tape Kumasawa had found was a bit too weak even for normal use. It wasn't nearly sticky enough to be used as a detective seal. It is possible to tear it off cleanly. This cannot count as proof of a seal. I guess Balor isn't as totally incompetent as I thought. He probably tampered with all the packing tape in the island using the authority of the Game Master. How many times, Avery? Letting Erica get her hands on packing tape gave her a fatal weapon to use against witches. The previous game had proven this fact. And so, Balor had removed that weapon from the entire mansion. Most likely, all possible substitutes for packing tape have also been tampered with. Probably. Well, it isn't really so bad. I'm kinda not surprised. At least this way I won't have to look like a fool crawling over the outer wall in the cold rain. Erica tossed the packing tape aside carelessly and flopped spread eagled onto the bed. Anyway, waiting calmly for the crime and smoking a pipe is also part of a detective's role. I doubt you'll have any role until the first twilight begins. What are you doing with that tail of yours, honey? You're so feisty for, huh? Huh? I doubt you'll have any role until the first twilight begins, so why not vanish off somewhere and take a break? I imagine that just the sight of my face is tiresome for you. I do not smoke. I'm just a kid. Oh, really? I wish I could. Well, only if it really is as refreshing as smokers claim. It seems that you are not in high spirits. Doesn't look that way? Erica answered lazily, still looking up at the ceiling. That in itself was half an answer. The silence between the two was filled by the sound of the wind and rain. It was so quiet that the sound of the ticking clock rang out clearly. Lady Erica, may I ask a question? Depends on what it is. Answer's probably no, though. Well, we're just killing time anyway. What is it? Maybe Erica was bored too. Or perhaps the sound of the rain was making her sentimental. She agreed to listen to Delanor, which was very unlike her. Why? Why do you hate magic? Ah, you mean that thing downstairs with Maria? No. It was merely a foolish trick to deceive children. No. Leave my stuff alone. Alright, come on. For the 5th time, I think. Go. Everyone knew that. Was it really necessary to go so far to destroy that illusion? I cannot understand. Erica didn't need Delanor to tell her that it had been a childish fight. Well, I am a self-proclaimed intellectual rapist, there it is. First time in the episode. Will be the last. I can't stand having magic confuse the truth. So you feel pleasure from exposing that? I sense a different emotion. A different emotion? What's that? To me, it feels less like pleasure, and more like a different negative emotion. Huh, you really are a murder doll, aren't you? Even your eyes are like knotholes. My apologies. Please forgive me. Erica rolled over grumpily, turning her back to Delanor. So Delanor couldn't see her expression. Even so, for some reason, she could guess that this completely unobserved expression was one of pain. Interpreting this to mean that Erica wanted her to go away, Delanor gave a bow and made to leave. Then Erica suddenly spoke. The words seemed so utterly out of place that Delanor doubted her ears. Leave my chewing gum alone. And she had to ask Erica to say it again. What did you say? I love you. It really did seem utterly out of place. Delanor wanted to see what Erica really meant. But the latter... Hey. Chill, okay? Chill. Lay down. Rest. You can be present, but don't cause problems. Go. Delanor wanted to see what Erica really meant, but the latter still had her back turned and her face was out of sight. Thank you very much. I was going out with someone else a while back, but we've completely broken up. The others might say things out of envy, but please ignore them. I'm going to devote my whole life to you, so I want you to do the same for me. Let's find happiness together. Delanor avoided asking what she was talking about and stood there in silence. For a while, Erica kept on dully and emotionally reading stuffy phrases that might have popped up in some shoujo manga. Then, unexpectedly, she once again followed up with a completely non sequitur. A new wallet. Of course, she had no idea what Erica was saying. However, with her back still to Delanor, Erica kept on saying disconnected words. A strange cat keychain, a type of cologne that didn't suit him, a music tape that's not his style, which he said he borrowed from his senior at the theater. His senior was asking, so he had to go. He suddenly got a new part-time job. He said he was talking with a friend on the phone who just wouldn't hang up. Made too much curry. Went to theater practice more often. The way he folds paper towels. Thanks, I've already eaten. He knew more about cosmetics. Sorry, I was sleeping. The toilet seat was left down. He spent the night over at his stage friend's place. My acting friends had a party here earlier. Someone must have left it behind. The drain and sink were cleaned out. Receipts and point cards from places he never goes. The muddy soles are evidence that you went out on Sunday when it was raining. Now I bet it's just the strange symbol on the calendar. None of your theater friends have hair this long. That's a leading question. How do you know the plot of a movie you haven't seen yet? Evidence, circumstantial evidence, observation, surveillance, tracking, tailing, information gathering, wiretapping, asking around, questioning. I found tons of evidence that I loved you. I found tons of evidence that you loved me. but I can't find any evidence that you haven't been cheating on me. Give it a rest. If you love me, then trust me. If you can't do that, then you don't love me anymore. How could I love someone like that? I'll treasure you for all my life, and I want to do well in theater just as much. You said you like seeing me act, right? So why are you telling me to stop acting now? Why do I have to choose between you and acting? What's wrong with you? I'm seriously worn out, okay? Come on, if all we do is fight when we see each other, maybe we both need some time to cool off, okay? I need to concentrate for my next performance anyway. This girl working with Senpai suddenly said she wouldn't be able to perform. I need to rewrite the script by tomorrow. I don't have time for this. Anyway, if you really find it that hard to trust me, we're through. Stay away. Just go home, bitch. I don't love you anymore. Don't cry, damn it. It's disgusting. Just die. Stop shouting, damn it. You're annoying the neighborhood. Just get the hell away from me and never come back. Everyone pet your comfort cat. Without love, it cannot be seen. Ha. That's backwards. Because of love, you end up seeing things that don't even exist. Come on, honey. No. It's nothing more than an illusion, one that no one but you can see, and one that you can never touch. Without love, humans would never need to sift through truth and lies. Because we can see things like that, we doubt, we suffer, we cry out loud. When the Erica cries. Right now, I'm happy. Though it may be temporary, I've become the Witch of Truth. As I am now, I no longer need to worry about being tormented by non-read words. What about you? How would you have countered my endgame? How would I? That useless man couldn't have played the part of my opponent in that game. I was wondering how you would have countered it. Hunter was suddenly thrust in the position of Erica's opponent. In the Witch's game, she had once challenged that man to. The winner shared in the fragments of Erica's past and was made to grasp the full situation. The board was reproduced in full inside their heads. The situation was one-sided. Erica's side had constructed a blue truth based on countless bits of circumstantial evidence. It turned all of those into pieces, and was already cornering the opponent. For some time, the winner thought in silence, and announced her by-the-book response. First move, I demand that you provide evidence that I have been cheating. I like this little roleplay that we're going through. Counter with the blue truth. I present 84 points of circumstantial and physical evidence. Counter with the blue truth. I present 6 points of circumstantial and physical evidence that I still love you. Good though. Blue and blue cancel each other out, but the number of pieces used to construct each is overwhelmingly unbalanced. When both opponents meet with the blue truth, the decision is almost always based on which side has more pieces of evidence, regardless of the actual circumstances. This is especially true in the human world. So by the standard rules, Erica would win. First point to me. Your next move. I will attempt to switch offense and defense, as that you, Lady Erica, provide proof that you are not cheating. Projecting. Perpetual check. That's a forbidden move, since it results in an endless repetition of the same question going both ways. Then I frankly declare that, despite a lack of proof, I still love Lady Erica even now. That's not red truth, so it's invalid. Even if it was red, that'd be a stalemate. After all, I'd have no move to counter with. Delina remained silent for a while. Then she quietly responded to Erica's moves until they reached checkmate. A stalemate is a forbidden move in the game of witches, since it means the ruin of the game. However, in chess it also represents a draw. Because of this, it's a splendid final move that a weaker player can pull off if they're unable to win outright. In this situation, Erica clearly had the advantage, so it was natural that Delina would seek a stalemate to obtain a tie. However, that would only be the case in chess. In a game where we just fight over the truth, it's a forbidden move, so it was already checkmate from the very beginning. Delina had no way to turn the game around. However, regardless of what the real truth between the pair of them had been, this game would be... Any other moves? Oh, witch-hunting Archbishop, protector of the truth? No, I resign. Sorry, Erica, I cheated on you. Delina, how could you? See, there you go. Erica had succeeded in crushing her opponent with the truth she espoused. That a former boyfriend no longer loved her and was cheating on her. Her opponent had no way to argue back. After all, humans are not allowed to... blank. Is that just a at both. Yep. Not sure what it's supposed to be there. I do not know. A splendid game, a splendid finish from a superior position. Regardless of the truth of her opponent, Erica could win. A splendid victory. The winner could only respond with silence. And with that, Erica spoke no more. She was probably done talking and wanted the winner to leave. The winner understood this, but even so, before leaving, she wanted to tell Erica one thing. A splendid game, Lady Erica. It's only natural that the detective wins. Even before you became Lady Bryn Castell's piece, you truly were a splendid wielder of the blue truth. However, Lady Erica, humans are only allowed to use the blue truth. And the only thing that can counter blue truth is red truth. And humans are not allowed to use the red truth. In that case, how should your opponent have shown his truth? Who knows? Maybe he should have used that gold truth or whatever, which is supposed to be stronger than the red truth at times. You certainly were the victor in that game. However, allow me to say this as a protector of the truth. What? I imagine it's something unpleasant, so say it and go away. Yes, this game is your victory. However, you still have not denied the 6 points of blue truth evidence I used to claim that I still love you. Even you are human. You cannot use red truth to deny those points. Later on, I used the detective's authority to have all 84 points transformed into red truth by the power of my master. I'm a human yet superior to humans, a detective and a witch. I am the Witch of Truth, Frida Erica. Any other questions? Parting remarks? I have none. In that case, please excuse me. The winner bowed and disappeared. After that, all that remained was a single Witch of Truth laughing off a bitter pest with an equally bitter smile. Look, there you go. We got Erica backstory, and maybe a little bit more sympathy for Erica, but don't be too sympathetic for Erica. At the end of the day, she is still Erica. Just because something bad happened to her doesn't mean she's automatically a good person. Judging by the bedside clock, it was almost exactly midnight. Okay, guess I should get a little sleep. The curtain is finally open on the second day, October 5th. I wonder if this rounds of murders are happening somewhere about now. I hope our victims leave us some interesting dying messages this time. Hee 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 hee. She argued at a 9-year-old, even. I wouldn't even call it, like, arguing with. Arya didn't even get, like, she didn't stand a chance. Poor child. Why didn't you discuss this with your mother? This is about the partner who's supposed to support you throughout the rest of your life. That's right. She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. And that's why you need to choose very carefully, right? How can you be so rash? Ava and George could be seen beneath the eaves of the guest house. George had revealed his engagement with Shannon. Ava's anger had exploded almost instantly. This had been known more than George had expected, so he responded with an ice-cold calm. Did you sleep with her? She told you she was pregnant to force you into marriage, didn't she? How rude. I'm a strong believer in preserving chastity before marriage. George does not fuck. Then why an engagement? I asked her. She accepted. What more could be needed? No, it's all wrong. Marriage isn't as easy as it seems in manga or whatever you're thinking of. What about her parents? Really, she's an orphan, Ava. She came from the orphanage. What do you mean her parents? What about her parents? Relationships between the two families? Are you some straight alley cat, or are you meet a George? I really, like, who gives a shit? Like, he's from a big family. He's from an important family. That's enough. People aren't gonna be like, oh, I don't want to hire this guy. His wife isn't, like, from a big, rich conglomerate. It's ridiculous. Ava's dumb. Why didn't you consult me? I'm consulting you right now. No, not consulting. I'm just reporting. I've never counted on being selected as grandfather's successor. In fact, I'd rather refuse if it did come to that. Yeah, I know. A lot of the game is, you know, reflecting of the times. Like I've said, you even have to give a little bit more slack to Rosa, because child mental health stuff wasn't as understood. This was 40 years ago, just about. And yeah, it doesn't mean these are good people here, but they had harder cards dealt to them back then, in that sense. I want to build up my own country and castle up in the empty wilds, just like father did. Father got really lucky. Now listen here. Do you realize how hard your father has worked to get here? That's not something you could duplicate just by imitating him. Do you understand how often he was saved by luck and coincidence before now? He got through it because he had a wonderful life partner by his side. You. Oh, right. No, they're talking about Hideyoshi. Sorry, not Hinzo. I have all respect for Hideyoshi. Oh, oh. Oh, are you gonna chill on my lap now, finally? I thought I was the kind of person who will support me and make me be reborn as an even stronger man. You praised me for becoming the adult I am, but that could never have happened without her. What? Are you listening, George? Just let your mother handle this for now. Cool your head and think very carefully. Shannon isn't the only person interested in you, right? Hayumi-san from that marriage meeting really took a liking to you. First I've heard of it. I thought you knew. Her parents were also very impressed by you. If you really dreamed to build your own castle like your father, Hayumi-san is the one who'd really be able to help you, right? Do you intend to betray her feelings? This one girl that he met in a marriage meeting for probably like 2 hours? There's nothing to betray. There was never any special relationship between Hayumi-san and me. We just had a marriage meeting and our parents got all fired up afterwards. You made us go out together several times, but we never even looked at each other. Ayumi-san is a well-bred, modest woman, isn't she? She just couldn't look at you because you're a man, and it would be embarrassing and ill-mannered. If you can't feel anything from her unless she looks at your eyes, then just tell her that. I'm sure she'll look at you in the future. You want me to marry Ayumi-san because it'll benefit you. You aren't pushing that engagement for the sake of anyone but yourself. True. George, how could you say that? Have I ever failed to think about what's best for you? Right now, yeah, right now. I haven't, have I? What is a parent's job? It's to look after the long-term welfare of their children, right? We've been looking down upon your entire future from a great height. Don't knock over my water, honey. And from our vantage point, we can see that you're letting your momentary youthful emotions lead you down the wrong path. We've been dating for a couple of years at least. I think something like that. At least a while. Longer than Jessica and Cannon. That's why I'm saying this, even though I know you'll hate me for it. If I didn't care for you, we wouldn't be having this fight. I just tell you to marry whatever strange girl you like and leave you be. You hear me, George? Leave this to your mother. There's no need for you to meet with Shannon-chan anymore. We'll take care of everything for you. Don't worry, we won't do anything bad to Shannon-chan. After all, it's thanks to her that you've grown so much. We won't forget that. So leave the rest to us. George. Really should have had Hideyoshi here in this talk. That would have helped smooth things over a bit. Sometime during Eva's rage, tears had started to drip from her eyes. As though those tears had caused him to hesitate, George turned his back and sagged his shoulders. Even George is a child of man after all, though he understands that marriage requires nothing more than the love of two people. A regular dude? I don't know. Ava did just say that, like, he built his fortune up from nothing, right? So, doesn't that imply that he was just a regular guy when they got married? I mean, yeah, a regular guy is still a bit different from a servant, but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, 1 is not equal to 3, 2 is not equal to 3. She wants a 3. You know, just because Shannon's a 1 on the poverty scale and Hideyoshi was a 2, doesn't matter, you know, in Ava's eyes, right? They have to be, like, a big deal. And so he is trapped between the tears of the mother who has always helped him in the Diancie, the Pokemon. The fiancé he chose. Or is he? Okay. I think that's about enough. Huh? All my life, you've done a great job raising me, and I'm grateful for that. When I have children and become a parent, I'll become a parent like you. I'll be the kind of parent most worthy of respect in the entire world, one who can truly fight for his children's sake. George. With his back still towards her, George threw away his umbrella, and slowly stepped out from beneath the eaves into the rain. Then he slowly turned around. It was, without a doubt, the familiar face of Ava's beloved son. However, he was now his own man, self-controlled and independent enough that their blood connection might be forgotten. I think it's about time. Or what? I think it's about time you learn to let go of your son, mother. Holy shit. He's making the face again. George. From now on, let's stop talking as mother and son. I am George. You are Ava. Holy shit. Let's forget that you're my parents and let our true intentions ring clear. The reason you want to choose the person I marry is for financial reasons, public appearances, and so that you can look good in that continuing quarrel between you and your siblings. You have no other reason. You do well to just give up and admit it now. I'm about to share my point of view with you. I suggest you do the same. After all, you will lose. No traces of love or respect for his mother remained in George's eyes. There was only a frigid glare as he gazed ruthlessly down at the witch who was trying to bind his future. George, why are you looking at your mother like that? Because I'm not looking at my mother. All I see is a wall, a trial. It's standing in the way of the future I'm trying to grasp. You're only human. I know that you have dreams and ambitions, and that you're still chasing after those. And I think that's a wonderful thing. We also know how hard it is for a person to chase their dreams without giving up. So, I'll need to inherit your wonderful strength. I've learned a lot from my parents, my friends, and Sayo, and I've grown. And the last thing I've learned, acquired, and perfected, is the real Ushidamia George. George Beatrice, become George Beatrice. Why not? Everyone can be Beatrice. The qualifications are really low. You must be this tall. Actually, it's a really low height barrier because even Maria is Beatrice, so it's okay. Now, welcome to the final barrier. You! What? Okay, so now we're getting... Yeah, I want to. That sounds cool, honestly. That's one of the good points about the anime. You can just see, like, the George and Gap, right? So here's another cool scene that you totally don't get in the anime. The pouring rain landed evenly across the ground everywhere. Now, it was blocked very slightly in one place. However, there was no one there. Standing on the ground isn't the only way to block the path of the rain. Then, could it be? Sorry, George, we already have a Beatrice here. Sure, it's good for people to let their true feelings show every once in a while. I'll speak my mind too. So why don't you just lay it all out as well? In the rain-filled sky, with a moon that shouldn't have been visible behind her, was the golden witch of the future who had already obtained everything of the Ushimina family. Even the drastic change in his mother's appearance didn't faze George. On the contrary, he seemed to be moved by her boldness, because his mother had honestly and truly displayed her true nature. This way, I can confidently show her my true self. Here we go, Mother. Here we go, Ava. This is my first step towards escaping from these shackles. No, it's capital Ava, George. Is she back in here? Is she in the list? I don't think she is, I guess. Come on, fill out these pages some more. We don't have enough characters here. Oh well. First step. With that first step, he felt something odd beneath his feet. He knew that this sticky sensation, different from that of mud, represented his mother's arrogance trying to prevent him from making that first step. I used to read to you all the time when you were little, didn't I? Do you remember your favorite story, Journey to the West? That takes me back. That's for the first fantasy I really loved. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, wanted to become a god and was tested by Buddha. If you can jump free from the palm of my hand, I will acknowledge your wish. Then, Sun Wukong managed to reach what he thought was the end of the world, and had 5 pillars standing there. But he discovered that they were Buddha's fingers, and that he still hadn't left Buddha's hand. And you're likening this to my first step, me declaring my intention to break free from you? Hahaha, your resistance, your conflict, your anguish and self-restraint, and everything else. All of it is a road I once traveled down. This first step of yours is so trivial, that when compared to my life, it just gets gobbled up. How long are you gonna look away? If only you just look. At your feet. At George's feet, on the pitch-black earth soaked by the pounding rain, was what appeared to be a slightly red sash that glowed ominously, and blocked George's first step. It was deep, viscous, and it held George's foot in place. From Ava's perspective, as she gazed down from the sky, it looked like a vast red spiderweb that radiated out with George at the center. That's right. This is me. This is me being tied down by countless studies, and raised for the sake of your ambitions. No, that's not it. Let me put it so you can understand. I'll show you. And then you'll realize the truth. The vast red spiderweb on the ground scooped up George as easily as scooping scum out of a pot. Defined scum. Then it lifted him into the air like a deer caught in a net and swung him about. Laughing insanely, Ava was as innocent and cruel as a grade schooler happily swinging about a bag filled with her gym clothes. I'll see you good. Thank you. I'll show that off in just a minute then, once we get exactly there. God, whoa. Come on, try to remember, okay? What happened on Tuesdays? It's actually probably a good time for it. Here you go. Ava Beatrice fight. I'm waiting for this to come up for a while. Again, like, there's proper full fight scenes that we just don't get. Because, oops, anime, not good. I remember. That was piano lessons. I still cringe whenever I hear I stepped on the cat. You did violin in kindergarten. That's the sort of instrument you'd expect smart kids to play, right? But you didn't seem to have the talent, so we switched you over to piano. Okay. Are you guys fighting or like reminiscing? Then, do you remember what you did on Wednesdays? I remember. That was the day I had cram school. It was so far away and a real pain to have to travel to. And Thursdays? So I guess she's swinging him around right now. That was the day for supplemental lessons. You were just terrible at subjects with memorization, weren't you? You could apply your knowledge, but we're horrible at learning by rote. A classic, he can do it if he tries, kid. Me too. I'm bad at rote memorization. Can't do it worth shit. That one stung. Those are the most annoying words a kid can hear at a parent-teacher conference. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's a British aphorism, isn't it? Making you get and stay motivated was the hardest thing to do. Gah. Wah. Gah. George was bound hand and put the bright red spiderweb reduced to the witch's plaything. She innocently swung him around and smashed him about, all with an insane laugh. I hope this means that we get to see Jessica and beat up her father. Or get beat up by her father, I guess. Hopefully they have a back and forth. Hopefully she doesn't just get cross-countered like that one goat. Do you remember what you did on Fridays? Of course, we went to Chuck E. Cheese's. As far as after-school lessons go, that one was pretty unique. A school you go to with your parents can be trying in more ways than one. Don't buy your child a fishing pole. Go fishing with them. You certainly like British education theory, don't you, Mother? Wah! You messed up. You're supposed to call her Ava. That school was hard on us parents, too. But for you, it was the most effective one. The monthly fee was high, and it was a pain to have to spend Friday nights there every week. But it did more for you than anything else. That's when I realized. Kids don't grow unless their parents watch over them. If children are sprouts, then parents are the sun. No plants will bud and no flowers will bloom without the sun. Oh my god. Still bound hand and foot, George was thrown, slammed, and smashed. He could do nothing. He was like Sun Wukong, unable to leave the palm of his mother's hand. However, since he wouldn't surrender, he could still show resistance at any time. What about Saturdays, huh? That's when the tutor came. He came to our house, which made it much easier, right? It was a pain having to invite some other person into my private room every week. I hated the smell of sweat left behind when he left, so much that I could still remember it. He was a wonderful teacher who drilled a scholarly attitude into you. His monthly fees were on par with a lawyer's consultation fee, and it was well worth it. Mortal Stampede? I don't know. I don't know which one Mortal Stampede is. Then, on the Sundays and Mondays that followed, I didn't have any extra school and could finally rest. How ironic. How those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday held me down all this time. I really am just like Sun Wukong. Well, I think she's like got him wrapped up in the spiderweb and she's like swinging around the spiderweb essentially from like a thread or something. Probably attached to her staff, if I had to guess. Not sure. We'll never know. Well, I guess you could read the manga, maybe that helps. But, I want it animated. Yeah, if you're arrogant enough to think that you can escape from the palm of my hand, you'll be crushed by Buddha's 5 mountains. Sun Wukong, who wanted to become a god, was crushed by the 5 mountains of fire, water, wood, metal, and earth, and sealed away. These are the 5 elements that the days of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, are named after in Japanese. Good that you explained that to people. Only down to George, who'd always admired Sun Wukong, recognized this greatest of ironies. Just like Sun Wukong, you need to reflect upon and be punished for your arrogance. If you can show that you're willing to reform yourself, I'll release you. That's not being released, it's brainwashing. Ugh. There's no need to think about anything. Why not just leave everything to Mama? I'll decide everything for you. That's the best kind of life for you. I found the most intellectual woman in the world, willing to devote herself to you entirely. I'll arrange for all of your successes and even prepare the roads leading to them. And eventually, you'll be chosen for the highest honor in the Yoshida family, the position as successor to the headship. Only then will you begin your true life. A first step? Don't make me laugh. You still haven't even been born yet. This isn't my web that you're caught in. You're still inside my caring, nurturing womb. Are all the Umineko fights just really long diss tracks? I feel like this is just... I feel like that's what I'm reading right now. George was slammed against the ground over and over. It was a heartless atrocity, unlike anything one would expect a blood-related son to receive. However, in Ava's eyes, perhaps even this was a sign of love for her precious son. The human-shaped lump of flesh, wrapped in the red bag, was slammed over and over, then thrown high into the air. It was caught in a massive spiderweb in the sky, still covered with fresh blood. While he hung there as though crucified, George didn't even twitch. Even if he had some power to resist remaining to him, the red web pinning there would have held even that in check. The rain, which had been falling non-stop since the beginning, finally tormented and pitied George. Be sealed by the 5 mountains and cool your head. I'm not telling you to stop because I think Shan-Shan's a bad kid, okay? She's a great girl, the one that gave you the courage you needed to grow up. However, an ill-considered engagement is a different matter entirely. The issue has nothing to do with some failing on her part. Understand that. Bullshit. You're gonna say that she failed to be born right or something. She wasn't born to a rich enough family. Isn't that right, Ava? Blame the problem, not the peer, right? That's another British saying. I really did raise you to be a smart kid. No, I am raising you. You're still inside me, right? You need to be nurtured a little longer. Okay, that's enough punishment. So apologize to your mother. The spiderweb released George reluctantly. Then it threw him to the ground beneath the cloudy sky. Skill issue. You lost your parents. That's actually very inconsiderate to say. Sorry. Thank you, mother. Bad joke to make. It was all George could do to get up on his hands and knees. Though he wiped the mud away and stood his ground, he still couldn't raise his head. Everything you've done so far, you've done for me, haven't you? Thank you. Thanks for everything. That's right. You must hate me now. But one day, you'll thank me. I'm sure you'll understand how much I loved you. Being bound by all those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday, that's a sign of how hard you worked to raise me to be an excellent man. That's another British phrase. To cover a child in blessings, it is the greatest education of all. Thank you. In return, I'll give you a British saying. What's that? Even if you strike all the trees in the forest once with an axe, you will not fell a single tree. And what does that mean? Maybe this one is clear. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. Francis Bacon. The man drenched in mud and blood straightened his crooked glasses and slowly stood up. No, they're just two different spellings. I tend to see it with an E more often, but I'm not sure if it's like a US, UK English thing or what. I don't know, actually. I think it's more common with an E, personally. But they're the same. Though he was covered in filth, his appearance had a divine quality to it. Something that could only appear in a self-controlled man, not one who had merely been dozing in his mother's amniotic fluid. I cannot count the number of things I've learned from Saya. She taught me courage and chivalry, how to be ambitious and witty and humorous, and just a little stylish. It's ironic. Almost all the things you say are so wonderful about me didn't come from you at all. George, are you still? Time to get back in Mother's womb. I'll nurture you in a sea of warmth one more. Okay, hold on. I need to censor this. As Ava howled, a bright red spiderweb appeared at George's feet once more and tried to scoop him up into the air again. However, at that instant, a powerful magic circle could be seen in the area surrounding George for just a moment. Faster than he could be scooped up by the spiderweb, George jumped, and with a sharp kick of the heel and a magnificent forward flip, he cut the shackles of that spiderweb apart. What? That smooth movement proved that he had possessed the power to escape from the shackles all along. He had willingly allowed himself to be bound by that web. Everything I owe you for what you've done. I'm paid back now with pain. Thanks to that, I think I'll finally be able to leave the nest for good. You really do need these every now and again. Fights between parents and kids. George, why must you disobey me so completely, and with a little girl like that? Looks like you really do need to let go, Mother. Maybe it's about time. Time for what? It's about time Time to start fighting back. Oh no. When George starts fighting back. The curtain of spiderwebs that Ava shot out in defense were all too slow. George weaved through them in 1 instant, and the next 2 was right before our eyes. This is Marvel Stampede. Okay. Arg. Yeah, I don't think we've heard this one too much. Ava jumped out of the way of a kick that would have knocked her feet out from under her, then blocked the second half of George's double roundhouse with a high kick of her own. I guess there's one more thing I can thank you for teaching me. Oh, and what day of the week was that? It's the martial arts training we focused on during long breaks from school. Ha. Yeah. I'm glad, George, to hear you're grateful for at least one thing. Your mother's happy. Ava's swift feet flashed like lightning. Low, mid-level attack. As George's head fell forward, she caught it in both hands, as though she was about to smash it against the ground. It was then met with Ava's knee as it rose like a bolt of lightning from the earth. You should have learned Muay Thai too. It would have been more fun to have learned it with you. You're right. I never had more fun than when I was learning martial arts with you. And right now is when we get to have the most fun. Isn't it fun, George? Isn't it? Getting curb stomped by your mother. Is it fun to play with your son like this, mother? Yes, it is. You're my precious son, and I'll love you lots and lots inside my womb. I even love it when you kick in there. Understood. But this kick's coming from the outside of your belly. George's knee buried itself into Ava's abdomen. An instant before she felt the pain of that fierce attack, Ava watched her son's kick with a proud smile, and then vomited. What? You're getting it on years, mother. Maybe it's about time you held back and wearing childless clothes like that. George! Her chin still covered in vomit, Ava looked up at George in twisted anguish. She could see how pathetic her face was by a reflection in his glasses. Both you and I need to leave our childhood days behind. So long, mother. Damn. The fierce lightning and rain made time freeze. George's beautiful kick had stopped an inch from Ava's chest. However, the power of the red magic circle surrounding George had already pierced Ava's body. I know, right? It probably is in the pachinko, but... Though he had stopped without hitting her, blood poured out of Ava's back. No wound had been left on her chest, but her heart had been punched through. Ava slumped backwards and landed in a puddle with a splash. There were no convulsions. Her life had been ended without leaving her even an instant to drive about in pain. Hopefully just the witch, right? Hopefully real Ava's fine. Hopefully this isn't the first murder. I know you're somewhere over there. Gap. As he straightened his glasses, George spoke to the rose thicket behind him. Then a pitch-black hole opened in the air there, and Gap jumped out. Impressive. Even considering that it was before her ascension, I can't believe you managed to defeat Ava Beatrice. I thought you'd be there. Thanks for not interfering. I'm glad we were able to keep it between mother and son. But of course, I wasn't here. You summoned me just now. It doesn't matter either way. I have something to ask of you. Is there any reason I should listen? Will you refuse to listen? With his back still facing her, George reset his glasses. The threat in his voice held the solemn presence of a king who could control demons. That presence made Gap gulp, and she looked at lips before bowing respectfully to his back. I like hot guys, but I like monarchs even more. Your wish is my command, O Demon King. I'll make to lay your body to rest in a place fitting for a woman who admired the head of the Ushimura family, and who lived her life with the misguided dreams of that position. So, in Kinto's study? No. The VIP room will do fine. That never opened VIP room on the second floor of the mansion. Ah, that room. As you wish, your majesty. The last time we heard about the VIP room was when, Short Skirt Beatrice went there in episode 2. It's not really a very important place, I don't think. Gab approached Ava's corpse and lightly tapped the ground with her right heel. When she did, a large hole opened up, swallowed both Gab and the corpse, and closed. After a while, a small hole opened in the air, and the staff Ava always carried, marked with a one-winged eagle that symbolized the Ushimura family's leader, was spat out into a puddle, because the corpse would no longer have any use for it. George slowly approached that staff, and stepped down hard on the tip. When he did, the staff spun violently into the air. After passing by the blue moon that honored the Demon King, it flew into George's outstretched hand. George can really be a badass sometimes. The instant he grasped it, another fierce lightning bolt landed nearby, and by the time the flash disappeared, the staff he held had become a spray of gold butterflies and vanished. It was as though George had crushed the staff out of existence. He doesn't need it. True Monarch doesn't need a weapon. And now, I've finished my part. I'll let someone else have a turn. I can't believe you attacked your own mother. It's the person who loves you first in this world, and the last one you have to separate yourself from. That's what it means to leave your home. This is the courage I need to show to take Sayo as my wife. George-sama. Bravo, Ushimiya George. An excellent start. Even though it was just within the game, even though it was just a piece, I didn't like having to kill my mother. However, that was the trial you set me, so I saw it through. He stared at the two demons. The demons looked at each other, then showed their surprise with enough familiar exaggerated gestures. Wonderful! Wasn't that splendid, Zepar? Indeed it was, Fervor. George Kun's determination is the real deal. It seems I've misjudged you. Please accept my apologies. George chose not to go on with this theatrical conversation. He just quietly looked down upon the game board, found the piece representing his mother, which was right next to his, and tipped it over. This was the trial that Zepar and Fervor had set for him. So that the love of the pair will stand true, offer up the life of one person by your own hands. It's similar to that trial during Beato's games, where they were given 3 options as part of a test to select the next family head. However, a pair of lovers will never abandon each other's lives, so they were automatically left with the option of sacrificing the life of another instead. In fact, it was merciful that they only had to choose the life of one person other than themselves, instead of all. And besides, it only meant taking those lives as pieces on the board. For the versions of themselves to whom the game board was the only world, this was a tragic parricide. But to those who stood around the game board in this witch's smoking room, it was nothing more than a movement of the pieces, presenting George's will to overcome his parents. However, the fact remained that the demons had ordered them to take these lives, even if it was just within one of the endless fragment worlds. George appeared to have distanced himself from the events on the demon's game board, but Jessica still seemed to resist the idea of stealing another person's life, even if it was only their life as a piece on the game board. Have you been scared stiff? No. The Beatrice that Battler's desires would not be shaken by the likes of this. Well then, who will undergo the next trial? Please choose the next victim, it doesn't matter who. Please name the next challenger. Any one of you may go. If no one speaks up, that means I win, doesn't it? Yes, that's right. If so, congratulations, Ushimiya George. The key that leads to successful love between you and the one you cherish. We will now proudly grant... Hold it right there. As the demons delightfully named George as the victor, they were interrupted by the next challenger. Jessica-san. I'm up next. Okay, I'll do it. I'll show you that I'm serious about Canon-kun. I don't know, I think you might just want to back down. It's not worth it. Check and see if Ava's dead in the menu. I don't think she will be. Nope. As usual, this year's family conference was getting bogged down. Everyone had decided to cool their heads for a moment, and a short break had been agreed upon. The 4 siblings could say whatever they wanted, but Natsu and Kiria, for example, were outsiders, and found it difficult to speak freely in this sort of atmosphere. A conference where you aren't allowed to say what you want can be tiring even as you sit there quietly. Even Kiria couldn't help letting out a deep sigh. This was the second floor hallway of the mansion. Rudolph had wanted to be alone during the break, so she'd felt like doing the same, and had drifted up the stairs to reach this place. Kitty's expression was less tightly controlled than when her husband was around. She wore a tired look that she didn't often show. She pressed her cheek against the cool window glass. I need to regain my spirit and support my husband, even if I'm not allowed to speak. That's the duty of one. Who is it? She suddenly sensed another person, turned around to look behind her, and saw Jessica standing at the other end of the hallway. Oh, it's you, Jessica-chan. Can you go to the guest house? Well, I sort of decided to head back to my room to get a book. I see. And you're on your way back to the guest house now? Yes, that's right. I can't stand this rain. Is the wind really strong? It's weak right now, relatively speaking. As Kiria looked out the window, Jessica watched her back, looking agitated. And Kiria, I'm sorry, but you've only got your bad luck to blame. Ah, Zephyr, Jessica's rule of fate has chosen Kirie. What will you do, Jessica? The rule has chosen Kirie, but you may reject that choice and spin the roulette again if you wish. I know, Kirie's kind of a tough choice. Well, I guess she probably doesn't have a gun right now. It doesn't matter whose life is sacrificed for this trial. Jessica wasn't like George. You could pick Erica. Please pick Erica. George had willingly chosen April to be his sacrifice, to signify his separation from his old life so that he could step into a new life married to Shannon. However, Jessica hadn't thought of any particular target, so she'd left it up to the roulette of fate. I'll grab a drink, I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick too, so quick 2-minute break. I'm gonna do one more big scene, then switch over to Toriah. I'll be right back in a second. Okay. I got some tea, I got some water, I took my sweaty socks off, and I used the bathroom. Okay. I just gotta get my breath back. What did I use up my stamina on? Being swift, I guess? All I did was walk. Okay. You know, I'm glad that she chooses Kiria because it means that we get more Kiria spotlight. Erica's got enough spotlight. Would I be happy to see her get killed now? Yeah. Do I need to see a half-an-hour scene where it happens? Later. That was no exaggeration. She'd walked around at random, imposing a rule on herself that the first person she met would be chosen as her sacrifice. Maria's better off with the, like, gravity staff thing. Actually, no, she doesn't, like, do the gravity thing. That was Ava that did that. But she uses the staff. For what? I guess just magic. And so, the rule of fate had brought her to Kirie. Of course, there was nothing forcing her to keep to that rule. However, Jessica didn't want to break a rule she'd once made. Because Maria's got a long life ahead of her, and she probably feels really sorry for killing her. Yeah, easy victory. But remember, it's not just about following the rules, isn't it about, like, who does the best? It's not really clear how the game works. Maybe choosing an easy target would give her less points, right? If she really wants to get points, go for George, but I don't think she'd win. Even though she was participating in a demon's game, she still wanted to cling to this one last virtue. Choose Battler. Maybe. I don't know. It depends. I mean, you'd probably trick him. He's naive on the game board. Right now, she could attack the unprotected back, but Jessica still wasn't able to fully resolve herself. What is it? Do you have something to say to me? Noticing the strange distance Jessica was standing at, Kitty had turned around. The unprotected back was already gone. Ushidamiya warrior. Jessica realized that her hesitation had made her lose her own first chance. She'd taken on this demon's game to prove her love for canon. You know, it's a really good thing that, it's clear in Umineko in the Japanese how the names are read. It would have been a really funny prank by Yukichi 7 to not give the readings for any of the names and have people just see some of these names. Like, this is literally just like fighter, battler. So I wonder what people would have done with this. They probably would have just read it as a like Sento or something, like key jokes that people would do at the start of the game. And we would have gotten like a really bad fan translation, but we got a good one. So it's okay. What? Didn't I just hit 2 English? Then hit... That's it? Okay. Sure. She'd taken on this demon's game to prove her love for canon. However, would it really be okay to sell her soul to demons for the sake of love? She had energetically consented to this demon's game, not wanting to let George, who had already taken an open-minded view of the situation, get any more of a lead on her, but her heart still wasn't ready. I mean, I think they would look at George and Jessica and probably figure them out. At least if the context, well, especially if the context of Kinzo being kind of a Westabu was provided. Though, to be fair, like, they weren't named by Kinzo. I don't know. Anyway. Rudolph might be an interesting case. I wonder if they would figure that out. Oh yeah, I know. But I wonder if they would have, like, figured out to do that from the context. Will crash. It's attorney. Maybe I shouldn't be asking you this, Aunt Kyrie. What is it? It's rare for you to ask me questions, Jessica-chan. I hope I'm capable of answering them for you. Actually, I have someone I like. Oh, really? That's wonderful. Then is it love you wanted to talk about? Yeah, pretty much. Very well. I'll help out if I can. Thank you very much. Actually, is it still one-sided? No, I guess you could say it's just become mutual. But, well, there's this trial for us to be joined together. A trial? Now what could that be? There's the two of us and another pair of lovers, and we have to fight each other. You mean a love triangle? Or is it a square? Sounds complicated. And? Only the pair who wins can be together. It's something complicated like that. In other words, that sounds awful. A love where neither side can succeed unless they use the others as stepping stones. Yes, if we're joined, then they'll fall apart. And the same the other way around. I think I see where you're going with this. Something like this, right? How far is a person allowed to take advantage of others to find happiness, right? Yes, Kitty was very smart. She had already guessed the question that Jessica had wanted to ask most. He can, but there are some things that we don't know about Rudolph yet. So, eventually. We still don't have context in, even Battler mentioned this last game, we still don't know why he said things like, I'm probably gonna die tonight. I'm probably not gonna be alive tomorrow morning. And like, I have an important family discussion to have with you later. So there's like this whole confusion with like Battler's birth apparently. I don't know. I mean, maybe if anything, as much as it would make sense with like the pattern so far to go for like the blood relative to Kinzo, that's her parent. I feel like Natsuhi would probably be the one to put up more of a fuss. I don't know, we don't really see as much of the, like, dynamic of, you can't marry this servant, besides Ava. She's, like, always the strongest contender for that. But I feel like Natsuhi's pride would probably get in the way. More than Kraus would do anything about it. I don't know, we don't really see much of Kraus as a parent. We see more of Kraus and Natsuhi as, like, well, partially a couple, like, the relationship between each other we see a lot of. And, like, the whole thing with Kinzo being dead and all that. But we don't really see much of how Jessica's parented. We just hear about it a bit. If you don't fight, it automatically becomes their victory, and you'll lose. However, if you fight and win, it means they'll fall apart. It's nasty either way. However, the answer is obvious. Yes. Kiria giggled. If she wasn't willing to stick to her love until the end, then that would show the limits of the relationship. If that were the case, she should just let the other pair of lovers win. However, if this was a love she couldn't abandon her chances at victory either. So she had no options other than to fight. In the end, Jessica's hesitation was caused by guilt, over forcing the others to split apart as a result of her inevitable decision. Not guilt about having to try to kill Kirie? I guess I really am just looking for an excuse. Yes, that's what you're doing. Still, that doesn't make it any easier to step over someone else for the sake of your own love. In that case, will you give up on your lover? I can tell you one thing for certain. Doing that will be even more painful. You'll be forced to crawl through hell for the rest of your life. A hardness had entered Kirie's gaze. I was just 6, so I don't remember much about that time. However, I found Mom's notebook among her belongings after she died. Was it a diary? It was more a collection of her thoughts. It was much bigger than a diary would have been. I found it and read it right after she passed away, but I needed to wait until I'd grown for several years before I could understand it. I see. So did it speak of Kirie's worries about her marriage? I mean, there's probably a lot you couldn't even read as a kid because kanji. At the age of 6, you don't understand, like, all the kanji an adult's going to use when writing. Well, we don't understand much at all. It was practically a book of curses. It cleared up several questions I'd vaguely felt back when I was 6. When I was 6, it seemed as though my parents were very close and had no problems. And though I thought it odd that Oni-chan lived separately, even though he was in our family, I accepted it as the way things were. Did you not know about Asumu? I think Oni-chan talked to me about her when no one was around, but it wasn't something a kid who wasn't even in elementary school could understand. After all, I never even saw a picture of her. Mom had sent all the pictures with Asumu signing them to Oni-chan, leaving none behind in the house. To Angie and to Battler, who only rarely came home, Kirie's smile never faltered. If she hadn't written her thoughts in that notebook, Angie would probably never have known them. Since his school days, Rudolph had been particularly popular with girls, a typical playboy. Be bold, over the top, yet still just a little bit gentle towards women. He probably kept that formula for being popular with women inside his head. In their attempts to win Rudolph's favor, several women tried various seductive tricks. Rudolph probably enjoyed that part the most. Since the beginning, love had been a game to Rudolph. He never thought of it as a trial and error process to find a single life partner. He would intentionally spark jealousy between women, lap up their compliments, and revel in the harem. He may be my father, but he was an awful man. But at the same time, Dad must have looked down on those toadying girls. Mom, who was very aware of her self-worth and extreme intelligence, must have stood out. Though even that might have been due to Kirie's more skillful methods of catching Rudolph's gaze. Yeah, maybe. Mom was smart in a lot of ways. Like the other Ushina siblings, Rudolph had strong ambitions and lofty goals. Under the mottos of, if you can pull it off, you're golden, and as long as no one finds out, he would alternate between setting up businesses that were borderline swindles or illegal, then running away. Rudolph would be into Bitcoin. I've heard that in his college years, he was already making use of that talent, thinking up shameless projects and cleverly making money through the panic selling of party tickets, so much that he could brag about carrying a wallet full of 100, 10,000 yen notes all the time. Oh no, he's a ticket scalper. That's dirty, Rudolph. Many women fell for his charisma in being the man responsible for these radical projects, as well as his thick wallet and generosity. It would be a lie to say that Kirie wasn't one of them. However, what made Kirie very different from the other women was that she could support Rudolph as a business partner. Rudolph would make a large-scale party successful, unable to hide his laughter at this massive easy profit. The women would surround him. Among them, only Kitty was calm and composed. She could point out several ways that income and expenditure could be improved upon, and could even lay out a proposal for the next project. So, Rudolph slowly began to accept her as a partner. Just like some people say men don't belong in the kitchen, there's also a sense that women should stay out of financial affairs. It's normal for men to foot the bill for women. And the details of how those 10,000 yen notes were scrunched up are vulgar, so they don't ask, don't know, don't care. So you're saying that Kitty viewed money from a man's perspective. Rudolph noticed a true treasure in this part of Kitty. He knew exactly how much hard work it took to get just one of those 10,000 yen notes. So, somewhere inside him, he looked down upon those extravagant women who never even considered the efforts he had undertaken. Bitch, you literally scammed people out of their money. What do you mean, your effort? Of all of them, only Kitty had possessed the same sharp financial intuition as Rudolph. Every time he thought of a new plan, he would talk to Kitty about it, work out the kinks, and make it succeed. In this way, Kitty steadily worked away until she was the number one of Rudolph's large group of followers. It can, but bad thing. Skin's still bad. Go get money a better way. But Mom was still a woman. I doubt she enjoyed seeing Dad pampered by all those other girls. So she would rather have been his only one, instead of his number one. Yeah. Though she served as Dad's right hand, she slightly got rid of the other women in the shadows. It was only a matter of time before Mom would succeed in her love. When did Asumu come into the picture? She was one of Rudolph Sen's groupies. No, not even that. She was just one of his fans. Did you ever talk with her? Of course. I knew her well. So this is actually way back. This is before Balor was born then, I guess. Ever since the very beginning, before Rudolph Sen even knew her name. I'm sure she was quite intelligent herself, and cunning. I tried to use my intelligence to stick out, but she did it in the exact opposite way. By being stupid? I mean, she was good at triggering his protective instinct. Out of all the girls who came to flatter and flirt with him, only she stood out with every action she made, unlike the flashy girls Rudolph Sen had tired of. Kitty still acknowledges the mistake she made in letting Asumu and Rudolph get too close. Kitty had thought that taking the role of Rudolph's business partner meant she would have him all to herself. That might have been due to her pride, and it might have been her arrogance as she tried to eliminate the relationships between all the other girls and Rudolph. Perhaps she sometimes tried too hard as a business partner, putting too much pressure on him, regardless of the fact that it was justified. Bit by bit, Rudolph had started to need a woman who could stay quiet and soothe him, without making him think about anything complicated. That woman was Asumu. I'm ruthless and intellectual, rational and economical. In a plank of car needs, that I don't know what this is, car needs situation, I would push the other person off without hesitation. I thought that was the kind of partner suitable for him. However, though that ruthlessness had made her reliable on the business side of things, it might have disturbed Rudolph deeply outside of business. At some point, though Rudolph still acknowledged Kitty's skill, he began to yearn for a quiet, warm acceptance. Asumu had satisfied all of those conditions. She would never talk about anything complicated. Even if he did, she would just shake her head to say she didn't know. However, she would care more for him physically than anyone else, quietly putting a blanket on him and staying by his side until morning. So, you wouldn't really expect it coming up until now. You'd think that Kitty only came into Rudolph's life a few years back, but she's known Rudolph since before he had Balor with Asumu. Well, I don't know. I assume he and Asumu were married at one point, probably. I actually don't know. But since she's actually known him for a little bit longer than that. Yes, I did get the position of his business partner. But before I knew it, dry again. Rudolph started growing a need for a mental partner, someone who could heal his heart. Though he foolishly claimed to be the intellectual one, I never noticed. And then Uncle Rudolph married Aunt Asumu? Yes, that's right. She stole him away by sleeping with him. He had slept with a lot of women. By that point, he was the kind of guy to let his emotions be captured by a woman just because he slept with her. After all, sleeping with women was just a game to him. That's why I used something other than my body to attract his attention. Well, pride is a woman. Before long, they were both pregnant. Asumu-san told Dad about it right away, but Mom did the opposite. so she was afraid that the pregnancy would threaten her position as his business partner. Apparently, Mom didn't eat much at the time, so her period was often irregular. Because of that, it took a really long time before she realized she was pregnant. When did she notice? It was after Asumu-san suddenly moved into Dad's family register. Mom learned about her pregnancy after that and plotted several times to split Asumu-san and Dad apart, but... Even though Asumu-san always acted like such an airhead, once she got her hands on Rudolph-san, she didn't let go. Why should I care? Please stay out of her way, she'd say. All this, and this coming from that little girl who would curl up into a ball every time she got on a bus. At that point I realized, she had been the truly cunning one. Yes, even her fear of vehicles was another lie to catch Rudolph-san's sympathy. My apologies, I must be boring you. Remember that Kirie is very familiar with the concept of envy. We went over this in, was it episode 3? Yep, episode 3. At the very least, I wanted him to acknowledge the child I would give birth to. It seems as though Rudolph-san was prepared to do that. He made sure there was a hospital waiting for me, and even though Asumu-san was close to giving birth herself, he gallantly came to see me. Even though she was already his wife. They represent the seven sins. Do they? I actually didn't think of that. I mean, I assume, logically, that Rudolph would probably be last. Is that actually the case, though? Is Hideyoshi supposed to be gluttony? Who's sloth? Hideyoshi sloth? Kraus is gluttony. Why is Kraus gluttony? I don't really know that any of them would be gluttony, unless we're talking kind of like abstract gluttony. I've never heard this theory before. I assume it's just a theory. I don't know. I see you've stopped listing them off. I feel like Rosa's wrath with Maria, probably. Jeez. After that is a tale I can't bear even to tell. Both Asumu and I had the same delivery date. And yet our pregnancy had meant her marriage, where mine was completely meaningless. I swore to bring up my child well and have Rudolph-san acknowledge it. The fight between Asumu-san and me ended with my loss. However, I wasn't down for the count. If I could make my child itself far more than Asumu-san's, if I could make it fully acknowledged by Rudolph-san, I would be rewarded. That's what I believed. However, that child was a stillbirth. Yeah, Asumu-san gave birth to Oni-chan, but Mom didn't give birth to anyone. Even Mom's final hope of being left, a spot as Dad's second wife, was destroyed. Kitty had fallen from being his partner to being his second wife, and then, unable to give birth to the bond of a child, she tumbled down to merely being his mistress. I can't imagine how much she must have hated Asumu and that kid, Battler. And despite that, Mom was able to act in a very friendly way towards Oni-chan. It was definitely a shock for me, to think that my gentle mother had held such negative emotions for Oni-chan, and had managed to hide them. She must have despised Battler. Probably. If Asumu-san had had a stillbirth and Mom had given birth to Oni-chan, history would have changed in some way. If that hadn't been the case, it seems she would have wanted to set up some scenario in which she'd make Dad divorce Asumu-san and marry her instead. Was that also written in that book where she kept her thoughts? Yeah. After all, that was just a random thought. A delusion. Mom's resentment as she chewed on the corner of her tear-stained bedsheets. There's just one thing I regret. You mean, the pregnancy? No. It's my arrogance I regret. Rudolph-san is mine now, so I'm completely safe. I'll never lose to that Asumu kid. When she was busy screaming her head off on buses and planes, I was capable of properly managing the arrangements and expenditures for them. And so, I was overly confident that I was the one Rudolph-san trusted the most. They say love needs to be nurtured, right? Yeah, that's not wrong. The two of you need to water it, care for it, and nurture it. And in the end, it'll finally bear the fruit called love. Did you know? Love doesn't end when it bears fruit. If you don't harvest it as well, the romance you started with will never amount to anything. Harvest it? You need to think about that yourself, Jessica-chan. If you make it bear fruit without harvesting it, it can sometimes grow rotten. And bugs will often gather around it. In fact, sometimes thieves will come by and pluck it off the branch. You know, kids like you, Jessica-chan, think that love ends with nurturing. That is naive. If you don't harvest it, you'll never be rewarded for your love. Harvest love. At a glance, it may seem to be a matter just between the pair of lovers, but that isn't true. I can see Natsuhi being pridey. I actually talked about her pride earlier, you're right. I mean, we're essentially, in that case, just saying that gluttony and greed are the same thing, but I guess if we're talking about, like, on a metaphor level, yeah, it's kind of hard to work, like, gluttony as eating too much into the story, really. I mean, it sounds pretty legit, but so does any, like, SpongeBob 7 Deadly Sins theory if you sell it hard enough. But yeah, I'd say I like the sound of it. It stacks up pretty well, especially like a few of them are really good hits. Rudolph being Lust, Kirie and Natsuhi and Rosa. Putting off the harvest because you assume you could do it at any time just gives thieves a chance. What if that fruit you worked so hard to nurture gets pulled off the branch the next morning? You will regret that you didn't choose to harvest it the previous day instead of complaining. That regret really hurts. It'll make you crawl through hell. I'm lucky. My hell ended after 18 years, so I'll never misjudge myself again. That person is mine. I won't let him get away. I won't let him out of my sight. And I'm grateful to my master for giving me that chance. My certain willpower not giving up on that man no matter what was answered with a miracle. By now, Jessica was speechless and didn't even urge Kirie to continue. This true form of love that Kirie was telling her about was far, far more harsh than anything she had imagined. Right now, I would do anything to keep Rudolph's son by my side. I will show no mercy against his enemies. If he wished it, I might not even hesitate at murder. And because I finally resolved myself to doing that in the 18th year, that certain willpower brought about a miracle for me. You know, miracles only appear for those who can bring them to completion themselves. I think Jessica picked the wrong person. I think she should go reroll. Asumu's death had not been a murder of any sort. However, Kirie had constantly cursed her and hoped for her death. And finally, on the 18th year, she had built up the determination to kill her with her own hands. And she actually had gotten herself a blade to do the deed with. That was when the miracle had occurred. Sumu passing away was a miracle. Wrong. That wasn't even close to a miracle. Huh? After all, if she hadn't died, I would have killed her. In other words, she was fated to die no matter what. The miracle was that, even though she did die, I didn't have to get my hands dirty. That's all. Until now, Kirie had never shown Jessica, no, she had never even shown Rudolph, that glint in the deepest depths of her eyes. It told plainly and clearly that romance and love are not the sweet and fluffy candies that young girls imagine them to be. Jessica was overwhelmed by the pressure and stunned silent, and she had to acknowledge it. This was the power of will that could make love be realized. With the force of this willpower, Kirie had supported Rudolph as a wife. And it was the same as George's. He had already developed and proven that he had the willpower to oppose all obstacles to love between different classes. Right now, Jessica could clearly understand. This was the magnitude of George's determination, which had allowed him to coldly carry out as part of the trial. Then, what about her? Did she really have the resolve to make her love with Canonbear fruit, and to then harvest that fruit? I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a little advice, and I've scared you. Blame the weather. I just wanted to pressure you a bit, but I've gone overboard. Kirie let a relaxed smile rise to her face. The tense atmosphere finally slackened. However, her words had been gouged into Jessica's heart. I don't know what your love has been like, Jessica-chan. But if you have a rival and neither is willing to back down, you can't let yourself become complacent. If you do, you'll end up like me. For the sake of love, a woman should be prepared to kill at least once in her life. I can tell you that all women in the world who call themselves mothers have been through that. After all, women who don't do that are chewed to bits by the others and forced to crawl through the hell of envy and regret for the rest of their lives. My hell lasted 18 years. I was lucky to be pardoned after just 18 years. That hell is still filled with women who will never get out until they die, unless they execute themselves in their regret. There's always more fish in the sea, you know. How should I put it? I have nothing to say. I was trying to cheer you on, but here I've gone and scared you too much. I'm truly sorry. Love can be much more easygoing than that, okay? Love really is like playing with fire. Anyone can play easily and lightheartedly, But when you mess up and get burned, that scar stays with you your whole life. Regrets from love never fade. That was all that Kitty had been trying to communicate. It wasn't like Kitty had to start telling stories from her past, stories you would normally expect her to avoid instead of giving a brief answer. However, Kitty might have thought Jessica deserved to hear. Jessica had timidly brought up the subject of love. Perhaps Kitty had opened up and told everything because she had seen the fires of Jessica's determination in her eyes. Okay, I need to head back soon. Let's keep what we've talked about a secret, okay? With a mysterious smile on her face, Kitty had turned around. Don't do it, Jessica. I wonder if I scared her too much. Still, it's 100 times better to learn of that hell from a warning. Once you fall into it, it's already too late. Good luck, Jessica-chan. It sounds complicated, but don't lose. It's not every day I get to act as a mentor. What is it, Jessica-chan? Huh? A windstorm grazed Kiria's head. It'd been a hair's breadth away. If Kiria hadn't twisted her body slightly, that fist would probably be buried in her face by now. A bitter smile rose to Jessica's face when she saw that her strike had failed to land a kill. Just so you know, I didn't strike you unawares, out of cowardice. I have to end it with a single painless strike before you realized what was happening. Didn't I tell you that I've lived through the hell of jealousy? I've been nearly burned a couple times already. I know how it feels just before a surprise attack. You mean you could sense it? That, plus the lie you told in the beginning. A lie? Come now. If you'd come from the guest house to get a look from your room, you wouldn't have come through this hallway in that direction. Of the 7 reasons you might have had for lying, which chessboard theory led me to, this was the worst case scenario. Telling hasty lie to Kiryu would only put her on her guard. I love when Umineko just brings out numbers like that. Like, Kiryu had thought this far ahead. Yeah. It was a bad call. If Jessica hadn't told that lie, her surprise attack would have succeeded. Not bad. I should have expected it from you, Aunt Kirie. Why? You were planning to kill me from the beginning. It didn't matter who it was. How horrible. That's what you said that gave me the boost I needed. Thanks a lot. I don't know why Jessica gets the gray eyes here. Dorsch didn't get any of that, but okay. What? Kirie dodged the punch, placed her hand against that fist, and slammed it against the wall. Normally, Jessica would have hurt her hand on the wall and rolled around clutching at it in pain. However, Jessica's fist had left what looked like a meter-wide crater in the wall. Instead of wearing a look of anguish, Jessica clicked her tongue in irritation at having missed. True, yeah. Incredible. I see that you're your father's daughter. Have you taken up boxing too? Impossible. Jessica's barehanded. She's not holding any sort of weapon at all. You bring the knuckles tonight? Please don't resist, Aunt Kirie. Just one strike to the head. I won't let you feel a thing. Kirie tried to look confident, but she couldn't hide her confusion at this unreal destructive force. If that punch had hit, her head probably would have split open like Jessica had said, killing her without any pain. Here I go. If Kirie's kick off the ground and backward leap had been an instant slower, her gut probably would have been pulverized. Though she had avoided it by a hair, Jessica's left body blow was followed by a terrible burst of wind, like an explosion which blew Kirie back. Is this a dream? Am I still sleeping? I don't understand. This Jessica looked like the normal Jessica, but something was different. It wasn't human, and common sense didn't apply to it. This had to be some sort of nightmare. Kirie slowly stood up. Then she looked at Jessica, noticed the several meters between them, and realized just how far that blast of wind had sent her flying. Feel free to hate me. However, just like you, I cannot back down. I can't let my love end half-baked either. What are you talking about? What are you saying? What on earth is going on? Someone tell me! The scene around Jessica seemed to bend like a heat wave. It seemed to be enshrouding her fists, and it seemed as though something like a red magic circle had appeared beneath her feet. It looked just like a western demon standing amidst the flames of hell. Flame upgrade. Mass upgrade. Armor-piercing upgrade. Each time Jessica muttered, her fists were surrounded by a pulsating, sinister red light. Those fists, which were actually smoking, surely represented the iron hammers of hell wielded by demons. I think if anything, maybe Jessica just has a much harder time bringing herself to kill someone than George does. So she's essentially like invented a little alter ego here to use during this that she switched to, with the gray eyes and like weird way of speaking. So she could just forget about it and just disassociate with it later. That's my personal theory. Goodbye, this is just a nightmare. Kitty dashed away with lightning speed. Yes, right now that was her best option. Fortunately, she was smart enough to realize that pinching her cheek wasn't the best way to wake up from this nightmare. Run away. Why is run away helping? When Jessica muttered once more, a blood-red magical barrier cut across the corridor. Kitty slammed into it hard and realized her path of escape had been cut off. Gah, make this stop. I don't understand. This is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Let me wake up, quickly. Yes, this is a nightmare. If you want, I'll wake you up right now. Just one strike. Don't move. Wielding her flames, Jessica slowly stepped forward towards her. Each time her foot lifted off the floor, a scorching steam hung around her footprint. This was a true nightmare. Kitty had clutched her head in her hands, shaking over and over again. It's a nightmare, right? This is a nightmare, isn't it? Please, tell me it is. Yeah, it's a nightmare. It is, right? It's a nightmare, right? I acknowledge it. This is a nightmare. I do too. I acknowledge that this is a nightmare. So, I'll wake you up. Just one strike. Jessica's neck was twisted at an odd angle, and she staggered backwards, her eyes white as though she didn't have a clue what just happened. In her forehead, a demon stake was buried at an angle. It pulled itself out of her, spun around, and became Leviathan and landed. She gets the envy stake. All left behind in Jessica's head spewed blood. Leviathan of envy right here. If we're already inside a nightmare, why not have a friend from my nightmares show up? I don't know. If anything, you want an easy fight, pick like Hideyoshi. I don't think Hideyoshi's ever gonna get like a witch form or get a stake to serve him. My friend from the Hell of Envy. Thanks for showing up just in the nick of time. It's too early to thank me. She's not down yet. Yeah. Even though she had taken a deep gouge at the top of the head, Jessica just stood there, convulsing and white-eyed, and didn't fall over. It's okay, she was already white-eyed to begin with. The blood stopped pouring out of her forehead, and her blank, doll-like eyes returned. Then she slowly pressed her own hand against the wound in her forehead. It was a sizzle, as though she'd pressed a hot iron against it. It was easy to tell that she was doing this to seal up the wound. If Kitty didn't escape now, there would never be another chance. Can it beat her? No such luck. She's immortal thanks to a contract with one of the great demons. Because of love. That's why she's immortal. Yes, love is magnificent. Those with our blessings cannot be killed. Can we break that red magic wall? Runaway-sama is also a great demon. There's nothing I can do. Can we escape through the window? That was blocked by Runaway-sama's barrier a while ago. Incredible. So she sold her soul to demons for the sake of love? How could she make so many contracts with great demons? I'm so jealous. Armor upgrade. All attribute defense. Counter-attacking armor upgrade. In response to these words, this time her entire body pulsated with a red light. She had upgraded herself with a defensive power that would prevent Leviathan's attacks from working again. What's she talking about? Self-augmentation. It's a kind of enchantment. Right now, she has enough defensive power to stop me from piercing her. She's going like the Byakuran route. And she even has the ability to reflect that damage back upon the attacker. She's no longer human. She's a monster. Oh, so that's all. Then not much has changed. When you say that? Just like in the very beginning, we still have no chance of winning. That hurt, but it won't work again. Jessica slowly lifted the hand that had been covering her forehead. There was no longer any hole there. The hall was cut off by barriers on both sides, and even the windows were sealed. It's interesting how like framing can totally change who you're rooting for in these scenes, because I was rooting for George in the last one, but I'm rooting for Kitty here. Jessica's just like displayed as such an absolute villain here. Is the door to this room sealed? No, it's just locked, but it's just a normal room. It does have a window, but that's already been sealed. In other words, it's a closed room and a coffin for us. A coffin is just what I need. Unlock it. I'm jealous. Why are you the only one who can unlock it? The stake flew about at high speeds, ramming itself into the keyhole to that room. The tip of the stake had become a key. As soon as it was unlocked, the door flew open. Both of them fell into the room and quickly locked it. This was probably Krause's study. Its soothing furnishings brought about a sense of nobility that Krause would probably like. Are we seeing the first Twilight? Possibly. That sure would line up with how every other episode is played out. Even if you lock the door, she can just smash through it with one punch. But we'll see. You should really wait until like the bodies are discovered and whatnot. You've just put the lid on your own coffin. However, if she wants to land a killing blow on us inside this coffin, she'll have to take the lid off first. With dim eyes, Jessica tilted her head upon hearing Kirie's words. What are you talking about? How will such a small room be able to protect you, Aunt Kirie? This room may be a closed room. It may leave us with no method of escape. However, even you can't break into this room. That's what a closed room is. What are you talking about? How does this tiny room, with this tiny door, make you think you can escape me? Jessica wearily looked between her own burning fists and the door with a confused expression on her face. Then slowly, she sent that pulsating red light to her fists. She repeatedly enchanted her fists to give them the destructive power for the killing blow. I'll smash this door to bits. If you think you can, give it a try. Kirie. After sealing the door and calmly saying those words, Kirie placed a single index finger on the door. Jessica slowly raised her fire-wreathed demon's fists. So long, Aunt Kirie. Kirie. Oh. Boss battle music. Jessica's fist slammed into the door in slow motion. It was like the decisive scene in a movie was being acted out. However, this was no act. Jessica's fists really were slowing down as though they were being sucked in, like a spoon sinks through a jar of honey. That punch was no longer a punch. It was no more than a knock. I envy you. Envy. I crawled through the hell of envy for 18 years because of my arrogance and naivety in love. So I envy you. You're going to remember my warning. Succeed in love and walk a beautiful love, right? Ha. I envy you. You'll get to live through the most beautiful time in a woman's life. You're a full 18 years longer than I did. I envy you so much. Jessica tried to slam her fist against the door over and over again. However, as soon as her fist approached it, its speed plummeted. Like JoJo powers. She could barely knock, much less smash the door. Speed upgrade. Instantaneous force upgrade. Speed of sound upgrade. It's useless, girl. Smash it. With full speed upgrades, Jessica's fist moved at the speed of sound 1,225 kilometers per hour. However, how long had Jessica been in envy to gain that speed? Now, she's actually just shutting and opening the door really quick, so, like, her cursor keeps, like, resetting. I don't know why she can't just target the corner, but, well, she hasn't played enough Minecraft. She had started to envy Jordan and Shanna's relationship about 2 years ago. 2 times 365 equals 730 days. 730 times 24 equals 17,520 hours. However, she wasn't envious all the time. It only happened when Shanna started going on about George. With Shanna's shift on about 3 days of the week, divide 7 times 3. And it wasn't as though she would go on about George all day long. Her fond words for him would only leave a mark on Jessica for about an hour, right? So only 1/24th of each day. 17,520 divided by 7 times 3 divided by 24 equals 312. Removing the fractional part, because of course they get to simplify it for us. The number of hours that Kitty had been jealous was 157,680. In other words, this wasn't even 0.2% of the time Kitty had been jealous. Even 1,025 kilometers, and 1,225, I got it right, kilometers per hour, the speed of sound, becomes only 2.45 kilometers per hour in the 1 divided by 500 world. I see why the power scaling community fears Umineko. Understand? You're lacking both love and jealousy. Even if she had increased the speed of her fist, in Kirie's world, Jessica couldn't make it any faster than a walking child. Jessica ground her teeth, her fist still pressed against the door. If someone could have seen this from both sides of the door, it would have looked as though Kirie was holding it shut with a single finger. Man, I want to see that in the stage play. That's gotta look really badass. Way to go, Kirie. See, this room is a closed room. At most, Jessica-chan can knock on the door, but she can't lay a finger on us inside. Ah, Beatrice's definition of a closed room. Shut up. What the heck is that? At this rate, this closed room will be troublesome indeed. It is impossible for you, a human, to carry out a closed room better. Only magic can do that. Until you truly understand magic, you will not be able to crush it. Jessica-chan can't corner me any further. As time passes, the relatives will eventually realize that I haven't returned, and you will start searching the mansion. Then you will be observed. Both witches and magic disappear when they're observed. The nightmare's already over, girl. Damn it. Oh? I can't believe that Jessica's suddenly getting eliminated. Oh, please give it your all. Do it for your beloved canon. Come, Jessica, believe in love and show us a miracle. was the applause. I revised that. There isn't even any need to wait for time to pass. After all, there's an internal phone line right here. Of course, the line hasn't been cut. I'll just pick up this receiver. This is my checkmate. Construction completed. Closed room murder. My. I do believe that's valid. Permeation upgrade. Attack transmission. Indirect attack power upgrade. Huh? Jessica's fist, which was pressed against the door, glowed red and then white hot. Jessica didn't even swing her fist. She just kept it pressed against the door. However, Jessica's murder extended within the closed room. Through the crack in the door, through the keyhole, burst the flames of hell. Jessica couldn't see what was happening inside the door. It's crazy, especially when you consider that, like, Ava had, like, a form upgrade, and she still lost to George. There's such a big difference between Jessica and George. It's not even funny. It is a bit funny. However, even here, on the other side of the door, she could tell that the flames of hell had swallowed the entire room. Yeah, small bombs in the phone. She put small bombs in the phone. Can't believe it. Isn't this the second time that Kitty has died on the phone? Or was it someone else who was talking about her on the phone that one time? I think it was Kitty. In episode 4, after they escaped from the well, and I think Kitty got to run inside the house and call Battler. Kitty just has bad luck with phones. She's cursed, I guess. Kitty's smoldering death throes could be heard from across the door. Jessica clearly heard as Kitty danced a dance of death amidst the hellfire, fell to her knees, and slumped over to the floor. Slowly, Jessica tore her burning fist away from the door. If you love the hell of envy so much, then burn. Burn in the flames of envy for all time. There are probably some things that can be learned from envy. However, it's nothing to be praised, and going through it is no one's duty. It seems you were too proud after all, not Kitty, eh? Maybe she's pride. I'm kidding. No, she's obviously envy. She literally summons the stake. A splendid closed room murder. I'll let you take care of the mess. I'd hate for a corpse to be burnt to a crisp when it's finally found. You think you could clean it up? As you wish, my lady. Runaway transformed into a gold butterfly and entered Krause's study through the keyhole. Then he had to cross his arms and think about how he should even start cleaning up Kitty's unrecognizable corpse in this room that had ended up as a burning hell. Take the contacts out now. Jessica finally let out the breath that she'd been holding down in her chest. Her normal human glint finally returned to her eyes, and then she couldn't help but shudder at what she'd done, even if it had just been a trial on the game board for the sake of her love. Is that good enough, demons? Yes, well done, Jessica. Your love is the real deal. George welcomed Jessica with a crisp applause. He's a really good sport. Beato timidly tried to join him, but Jessica yelled at her and she stopped. It's just something that happened on the game board. There's no need to look so sad about it. I know that logically, but still, how am I supposed to just accept it emotionally? My lady, Canon couldn't. I love you. I can't give up. That's why I've shown you how I feel. I didn't do something wrong, did I? I'm not wrong, am I? Ooh, Turns out this whole thing was just Shannon and Canning testing their lovers to see if they were crazed enough to kill someone. Like, holy shit, you guys are unhinged. We're breaking up. My lady. As Jessica started to sob, Cannon held her quietly. And he realized that he would have to carry on the determination she'd shown him. You didn't make any mistakes. And it also isn't a mistake to keep your human heart and be sad. I just happen to be a bit more of a stoic when it comes to that sort of thing. See, I think I'm right. I think, like, it was Jessica kind of, like, separating it for herself, and George doesn't need to. Not everyone can match up to George Sama's level. Yeah, he's pretty high up there. But in any event, you've completed your trial, my lady. Well done. I admire the strength of your determination. I see. Both George and Jessica have splendidly succeeded just the same. Very impressive, Jessica. That closed room murder just now was wonderful enough to fascinate even a witch like myself. Jessica had used magic to kill Kitty, who would hold up inside a closed room. In that instant, Jessica had constructed a closed room murder, had it acknowledged by the demons, and raised it to the level of magic. Your 2 trials have been completed. So then we'll take the next challenge. Will it be Beatrice Sama? No, it might be Shannon. No, this has to be Cannon's time to shine. Come, speak up. Who is it? Who will take the next trial? Oh, you didn't think it was just going to be George and Jessica, did you? Well, what witch would hesitate at committing murder on the game board? Even shyness can kill love. Alright, who will carry out the next murder of love? The three who remained looked at each other. If none of the others raised their hands in the next few seconds, they would raise their own hand. All three thought this at the same time. Meanwhile, George says, "I'll do another." So, they all raised their hands at the same time. The ones that they loved had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. See why I quit what I did yesterday? That was just 2 of the trials, and that was 2 hours. Those are some pretty good scenes, though. Okay, I'm going to save and wrap up here, then. And we're going to do Terraria. As soon as we get through the rain. Hi, Rosa. Have we seen Rosa yet in episode 6? I feel like this might be the first time we've seen Rosa. Episode 6 has been... Is there even any point in me calling an episode weird anymore? That accomplishes nothing. It means nothing at this point, really, does it?